And now, introducing fighting out of our blue corner. This fighter has an MMA record of 24 wins and 5 losses. He stands 6 feet 5 inches tall and weighs in at 227 1/2 pounds. Representing Team Kryptonite, fighting out of Yucaipa, California, Tony Kryptonite, a.k.a. the Wooshmaker, a.a.a. the Belt Collector, Lopez. And now his opponent standing across the cage, fighting out of our red corner. This fighter has an MMA record of 40 wins and 11 losses. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed in at 230 1/2 pounds. He represents American Top Team Coconut Creek, representing Team Monson from JM Lexus from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Jeff the Snowman Monson.
Round number 1 underway in our main event. Troy Waugh, our referee. Jeff the Snowman Monson in the gray trunks. Tony Kryptonite Lopez in the white and green. This one, Dean, is for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions World Heavyweight MMA title. The winner will become the first holder of that belt, as Monson working for that takedown. He always works hard for that takedown, Dean. Never gives up upon the first attempt, and now he has Kryptonite on his back.
Yeah, Monson is a really good chain wrestler. I mean, he comes from a wrestling background, but, the last over a decade or so, I mean, he's been doing, MMA and jiu-jitsu and everything. But, when it comes to his takedowns, once he gets a hold of you, he will not stop until he gets you on the ground, even if it means pull guard and sweep you. But he's going to continue his takedown until he gets you down.
And you see the strength and the size of Jeff the Snowman Monson, that huge back. Plenty of room there for all the tattoos he sports as he is working on top of Tony Kryptonite Lopez. Lopez, by the way, former King of the Cage, heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, actually held the two of those belts simultaneously for quite some time. So when you talk about experience going into deep water, going into 5-round fights, this fight is scheduled for 5. Tony Kryptonite Lopez, one of the most experienced opponents that Monson could have possibly drawn for this fight.
Yeah, I mean, this guy definitely has a lot of experience, and he's definitely going to be a game opponent. I talked to him yesterday at the weigh-ins, and he was on top of his game. He seemed focused. He seemed ready to go. I expect a lot from him. Right now he's in a bad position, but I could just see, again, he's a game opponent. He's trying to get back out. He's trying to work to get to his feet and see if he can amount some type of offense.
So far, it's been Monson firmly in control, working on the back now of Kryptonite Lopez. Nice left to the head. Monson always working. Not usually a guy who settles for advancing the position, Dean. He's usually always working for submissions, working for ground and pound, always active from top control now as he continues to work on that back. A lot of strength shown there, though, by Lopez to stay standing momentarily with big Jeff Monson on his back, but Monson again in control, has one hook in. Kryptonite, though, very relaxed, defending himself from the bad spot.
Yeah, Monson just stayed on top of him. I think a lesser grappler, he may have shuck off, but Monson just stayed on top of him. When it comes to competition, I don't think there's many more better competitors in the world than Jeff Monson. I mean, this guy's competed, not only in MMA, but in grappling, wrestling. I mean, he's just, he might even have a fight next week.
Two-time winner of the Abu Dhabi Submission Wrestling World Championship, a no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Champion, and a Pac-10 champion in wrestling at Oregon State University, and also a former UFC heavyweight title contender. So no slouch is Jeff the Snowman Monson. His grappling credentials are almost hard to get through here during a 25-minute fight. Under 2 minutes to go here in round 1. Monson working towards a rear naked choke. Only has one hook in, though, Dean, as we see Kryptonite shifting his posture towards the left. One thing I can say about Lopez, he's looked very relaxed throughout this fight, even though Monson has been dominant throughout so far.
Well, that's the experience of Kryptonite. I mean, he understands that he's got 25 minutes to work. He hasn't been in any real trouble, real danger, just position-wise, but nothing really that's going to hurt him so far. So he's not really, he's not going to freak out. He's not going to, have this sense of urgency because he understands this is a 5-round fight, and all he needs is a moment and an opportunity.
Looking now is Lopez perhaps to turn around and end up in the guard of Jeff Monson. Monson holding on to his posture well, though. Wrist control now, though, for Lopez, who's backed Monson's head into that cage, and he's dropping in those hammer fists. Surely not so painful, but effective to at least stay busy as he dropped a couple of those fists to the nose of Monson, now elbows to the leg.
That's just, Tony Lopez now. He's just, you could tell he's definitely a fighter. Any opportunity he gets to try to throw a strike, he does, even though he's in a bad position. He's just, and Monson's not going to make this easy for him to get out. So he realizes he's in a bad position. He realizes, that this round could almost be over. So he just wants to try to mount any type of punishment he can.
And now
as he can.
Now he does flip over in the full guard of Jeff Monson. Nice reversal by Tony Lopez. Under 20 seconds to go, though, here in round one. Not a lot of time for him to work, but he gets out of trouble for the moment. 10 seconds to go. Round one of our title fight scheduled for 5 here at the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Jeff Monson on his back. Tony Kryptonite Lopez on top. We go to a second round. Round 2 underway. We are scheduled for 5 for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions World Heavyweight MMA title. You can see Rashad Evans in the crowd. New to South Florida, I should say. Now training in Boca Raton. Will take on his former training partner, John Bones Jones, for the UFC Light Heavyweight title. Happy to have Rashad in town now.
Yeah, it's good to see him. It also just shows that, South Florida is one of the best areas in the world for mixed martial arts.
Dropping down for a single is Monson. Lopez, though, sprawls out. He is on top. Jeff Monson, though, committed to those takedowns, puts Lopez on his back, slings him around with that single leg. Kryptonite, though, could be threatening for a submission. He's no slouch off his back.
Yeah, that was the one thing that they said about Kryptonite is that he's really good off of his back. He's got long legs. He's got the body for it. He's got long legs, be able to work triangles. But, Monson is just, a supreme grappler. He's the elite of the elite. He could enter Abu Dhabi, the next one, and do well, maybe even win. So it's going to be difficult to submit Monson.
Well said, Dean, as Monson back now in the side control, was able to spin out of that submission attempt pretty easily as he continues to control his opponent, Tony Kryptonite Lopez. But as he told us in the pre-fight meetings, nearly went with the nickname the Wussmaker. That was his first choice until his wife talked him out of it. The voice of reason told him, hey, I think Kryptonite would sound a little bit better.
I don't know. I kind of like the Wussmaker. I mean, just the sound of that, the way it rolls off your tongue, and the so many different meanings that it could have, especially, if your mind is in the gutter, it could really, really create a niche for him.
He can make a wuss out of nearly any man, but not Jeff Monson right now, as Monson in control of this fight. Nearly midway through round 2. We are scheduled for 5, though, for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions heavyweight title. A new belt, so we're happy for the folks at the ISKA for giving us here at Fight Time Promotions the opportunity to crown a champion here tonight as we are making history in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the historic War Memorial Auditorium. Howard Davis Jr.'s Fight Time Promotions. Howard Davis Jr., a gold medalist in boxing back in 1976, now a MMA trainer, trains guys in stand-up and American Top Team, and also a promoter extraordinaire. Big knees, though, coming from Jeff Monson towards the shoulder. He is doing everything that he can to wear out Lopez.
Yeah, and Lopez isn't going anywhere. I mean, he's smothered right now, but, if you look at him, he's staying relaxed, and any chance he can get to, he's even throwing little elbows to the kidneys of Jeff Monson. Any chance he can get to hit Monson at this point, even at such bad positions, he's doing it. I think he's a little frustrated right now that he can't get Monson off of him, but he had to know that going into this fight that it was going to be difficult, fighting a guy like Jeff Monson who's so relentless from the top position on the ground.
Something I've noticed, Dean, about Tony Lopez when he's been on the bottom here in this fight, often see him talking to himself, or maybe he's talking quietly to Jeff, but more likely talking to himself, maybe a calming technique, a meditation technique, whatever it is. He has kept very relaxed here as he's been in bad spots so far throughout this fight.
Yeah, you know what? Talking to yourself is one of the most important things you can do as a competitor, because you need that voice. And I always tell the guys that I work with that the most important voice you need to hear is the one you're telling yourself. Sometimes we put a lot of importance on the corner, but the main voice you need to hear is yours. And obviously Tony Lopez is using that tactic in order to keep his wits about him and stay competitive in this fight.
Monson now posturing up, could have been looking for some ground and pound. Kryptonite, though, controlling those wrists pretty well of Jeff the Snowman. There you see the right forearm drop in. High guard from Tony Lopez. Saw more activity there momentarily than we'd seen throughout this round 2. But now Monson again taking a deep breath, back into side control, knees to the body. It has been all Snowman so far in this title fight. Fight Time 4 is brought to you by Patriot National Insurance Group. Strength, excellence, and tenacity in the workers' comp arena. North-south now for Jeff the Snowman Monson. He has really put his grappling on display here, Dean. We've seen about every position possible so far in these 2 rounds of action.
And, Tony Lopez has to be proud of himself at this point. I mean, you got to think, he could be a little frustrated, but you got to think he's made it this far without getting submitted and giving up so many positions. At this point, Monson has submitted so many guys after dominating them, and he's done a good job of not getting submitted so far.
Round number 3, we are scheduled for 5. This fight is for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions Heavyweight MMA title. First time this belt will be given out. Jeff the Snowman Monson, the stockier, shorter foe in the gray trunks. The taller Tony Kryptonite Lopez, former King of the Cage champion, in the white trunks with the green trim. Right hand appeared to land by Kryptonite Lopez. Would you find, Dean, that Tony should do everything he possibly can to keep this fight standing up for the better part of these next 3 rounds?
Well, yeah, the first 2 rounds definitely didn't go his way just because of, Monson was able to get inside, take him down, get him on the ground, dominate him. Tony Lopez needs to hurt Monson on the feet, and he has to hurt him on the feet to where Monson's taking bad shots. And the approach that he's taking right now doesn't indicate that he's trying to do that. He's just kind of, he was just trying to, pick away at Monson, and he can't do that. He has to try to hurt him.
Again, working for the takedown is Jeff the Snowman. Kryptonite Lopez comes from a karate background, but he also infuses Muay Thai and Taekwondo into his stand-up style. Haven't seen so much of the stand-up here so far. The clinch game into play now. Lopez against the cage. Monson dropped in a couple of knees to the legs. He continues to wear out. We see the left hand to the face now. Jeff Monson surely eventually going to work this back to the ground, or at least try to. But right now, more than happy to engage in this clinch game where he has also been dominant here.
Yeah, and this isn't that good of a position for Lopez. He's on his feet, but he's pushed up against the fence. Monson is, well, one, he's shorter, so his center of gravity is lower, and he's keeping his body lower. He's keeping, Lopez sort of upright and not allowing him to get off the fence. It's going to be tough for Lopez from this position.
And Dean, we've mentioned the grappling accolades of Jeff the Snowman, but also an accomplished striker, has had a couple of pro boxing fights, likes to throw his hands, so he shouldn't sell Jeff short in the stand-up, where, we would assume that maybe Tony would enjoy a greater advantage standing up, but Monson would be no slouch there.
Well, you know what? Me and Jeff Monson, we had our pro boxing debuts on the same day. He actually got a knockout that night.
And how did you do?
I had a draw. And, and it's kind of odd, considering that, I've always been known as, a striker, and we showed up to a boxing event. I had a draw. He had a knockout.
Midway through round number 3, midway through this title fight scheduled for 5 rounds. Howard Davis Jr.'s Fight Time Promotions, Fight Time 4, heavyweight explosion here at the historic War Memorial Auditorium. Interesting spot now for Tony Lopez, trying to flip around Jeff Monson. Monson, though, a nice reversal, puts Lopez back on his back. Up kick, though, dangerous. Looks like it just missed the chin of Jeff the Snowman, who ends up back inside control. Interesting exchange there, and it's got to be a frustrating one for Lopez, who went through all that work and then at the end of it finds himself on his back again.
Yeah, Monson's pressure is relentless. He's not gonna concede. He's not gonna give up. He's gonna keep the pressure on you. He's gonna stay on top of you.
Alex Dono here alongside my verbal sparring partner, UFC veteran Dean Thomas, taking in the action. Knee by Tony Kryptonite, and now he has Jeff pressed against the cage. Perhaps the most offense we've seen in the clinch by Lopez. Didn't last for very long, though. Monson is so strong, able to reverse, and now Kryptonite again pressed against the fence.
Well, Monson's just so competitive. He's competitive even within the positions and the exchanges. He saw himself losing a position in exchange, and he just turned it around. And that's what I was saying. Monson's competed at the highest level of grappling, and you can also even show up to smaller tournaments, and you'll see him there, competing against, in some of the smaller tournaments and events, just in grappling.
Jeff Monson currently resides here in South Florida, a Washington native. Tony Kryptonite Lopez, on the other hand, made the trip all the way over from Huntington Beach, California. He always enjoys visiting South Florida when he has the chance and fighting here when he can, and would like to steal the belt from South Florida here tonight.
Well, they do call him the belt collector.
That is true. Looking to add another one to his mantle here, but so far it has been all Jeff the Snowman Monson. Under 30 seconds to go in round 3. Remember, we are scheduled for 5 for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions heavyweight title. Jeff the Snowman Monson, Tony Kryptonite Lopez. More clinch work here, more punches. The lefts being thrown by Monson. Kryptonite Lopez worn out, but certainly not a beaten man here. He's got 2 more rounds coming up, Dean, to try to put together some offense. We go to round number 4. We are now in the deep water, the championship rounds. Round 4 of our heavyweight title fight. Jeff the Snowman Monson in the gray trunks, Tony Kryptonite Lopez in the white trunks with the green trim. Have you ever fought 5 before, Dean?
No, I can't fight 5. And
you can't fight?
No,
5.
I can't. I couldn't do 5. I don't have the attention span for 5. It's hard enough to call 5 rounds, much less fight them.
Kryptonite would like to keep this fight standing at this point. So far, Monson has easily gotten the better of the ground exchanges. The groundwork has favored the submission grappling champion, the former All-American wrestler, former Pac-10 champion, Tony Kryptonite Lopez, the more accomplished on paper stand-up fighter. And he's got a nice length and reach advantage, Dean. Would you like to see him throwing more kicks here?
Well, yeah, I'd like to see him throwing more anything rather than just kind of chipping away. He's not really throwing a lot of hard shots to try to hurt Monson. And, you said about, I think Monson's getting the better at exchanges on the feet, too. And I think that's because he does have the element of the takedown. He's keeping Lopez off balance, doesn't know where the attack's coming from.
Something that Lopez told me at the weigh-in, Dean. Tell me if you think this is a good strategy for him. He said he would actually avoid throwing most kicks. We've seen him avoid throwing really any kind of kick so far because he respects the takedown of Jeff Monson, especially worked to take push kicks, the teeps, out of his repertoire tonight in fear that Monson would catch them and take him to the ground. And I guess that's why we haven't seen really a single kick of note thrown here by Tony Kryptonite Lopez. But now I would estimate he's down 3 rounds to none on your scorecards, Dean. At this point, do you say throw the game plan out the window, do whatever you can to do some damage here?
Well, yeah, he's not right. He's not wrong about that. I mean, he doesn't want to keep his feet. He wants to keep his feet on the floor. He doesn't want to, put himself in jeopardy of getting taken down. But at this point, if you've been taken down round after round, you need to just throw everything. If you have a kitchen sink in the corner with you, bring that out and throw that too. But he needs to throw everything he has in Monson to keep him off of him. So at this point, he needs to throw knees, kicks, punches, and everything he has.
I don't believe the kitchen sink is legal under the unified rules, but maybe that can change at some point.
I hope so.
Midway, though, through round 4, Jeff Monson looking to take the title. The belt collector, Tony Kryptonite Lopez, looking for some offense. Surely he knows, Dean, that he's down 3-0 on the scorecards. I know that sometimes judging doesn't go the way that we expect, but it would be hard to score those first 3 rounds any other way, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't think there were many times where Tony Lopez had was in a dominant position. Even on his feet, he hasn't really, done a lot of damage. He's doing a good job of defending and keeping from, getting hurt. He hasn't really been hurt yet in the fight, and he's just been dominated in position.
Big swing and a miss in the right hand by Jeff Monson. Now sprawling out is Tony Kryptonite Lopez. And honestly, though, Dean, I think you're right. In the striking exchanges we have seen, I think that Jeff, the Snowman, has gotten the better of those as well. And it seems like any time Kryptonite might be getting his timing down, they clinch up again. He really hasn't had a chance, has Lopez, to put together any kind of offense on the feet. It's a testament, though, to Jeff the Snowman Monson having such a sound strategy here.
Well, basically what's happening is, because Jeff has the element of takedown, he's kind of dictating what's going on the feet. And because Lopez is kind of dummied his game down to just throwing punches and not putting together legs and knees, it's not really, giving Jeff anything to worry about from that takedown.
See Jeff drop a level here, working towards a single leg takedown. We've seen Kryptonite stay on his feet for a while. That continues here, at least momentarily, but continuing to be aggressive inside that clinch like an animal is Jeff the Snowman Monson. Working for that underhook is Tony Kryptonite Lopez. Eats a couple of big punches on the way. Those might have been the two most effective strikes we have seen so far in the cage, Dean, at least standing strikes.
Yeah, he kind of rocked. It didn't really hurt Lopez, but it definitely rocked him and pushed him back. Lopez has a good chin. I mean, he's been hit with some strikes, and those last two really, they were solid strikes, and he just kind of it pushed him back, but he stayed in it. He kept his composure, kept his focus, and he's still trying to battle back. But Monson's just on top of him. This is definitely Monson's game. This is a classic Jeff Monson fight, and he's going to keep the pressure on you. He's going to push into you. He's going to make it hard for you to win.
And we go to round 5 of our championship fight. Fifth and final round, the ISKA Fight Time Promotions World Heavyweight MMA title is on the line. I'm Alex Dono alongside my verbal sparring partner, Dean Thomas. We're here with you ringside at the historic War Memorial Auditorium. Fight Time 4, Jeff Monson again working for the takedown, takes the back of Tony Kryptonite Lopez. Dean, how do you have this one scored on your unofficial scorecard? Do you have it 4-0 for the Snowman?
Yeah, I still have it 4-0 for the Snowman. I thought Tony Lopez did the best he did in the whole fight in that last round, but it wasn't enough to win the round. And, still the momentum in Monson's favor. Monson seems a little tired at this point, but, again, this isn't a fitness competition. He's gonna be tired, but he's going to continue to do what he does until that final bell rings.
I'll tell you, though, you can certainly see the fatigue, and there you see Jeff slip a little bit after that leg kick, and now we do see a kick thrown by Tony Kryptonite Lopez. Now, certainly fatigue coming into play here in round 5, but I've got to say that for two heavyweights, I know that there have been a lot of breaks in the action, but both men look pretty fresh for heavyweights in a 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for heavyweights. I mean, these guys actually look fresher now than the Bolachi and Jesus Rodriguez did after just one round of fighting.
Not even a full round, about 3.5 minutes.
But again, I think that has to do more so with the experience of these two competitors, Jeff Monson and Tony Lopez. I mean, these guys have a ton of fights combined, and they're not in the championship bout for no reason.
Tony Lopez, a very tough man to finish. He's been 5 rounds before, lost a close decision to Strikeforce fighter now Mike Kyle in King of the Cage about a year ago when he lost his King of the Cage light heavyweight title. So a very tough man to put away. You can see now the fatigue on the face of Jeff Monson, working to the body with those fists, trying to soften up those ribs of Tony Kryptonite Lopez. It has been all Jeff Monson for 4.5 rounds. Will they go the distance, or will one man dig deep and go for the finish here in our title fight?
You never know what could happen in a fight, especially with two heavyweights. They're always one punch away, but I'm more than willing to bet that these guys will probably go to the distance. And the reason why I say this is because neither of them have really sat down on their punches or their offensive attack. They're just kind of, Munson's going to continue to do what he's doing. That's push, use his strength, and just, ride you out. And Tony Lopez hasn't really sat down on his punches and showed that he really wanted to try to steal this fight.
Well, now that they're in round 5, Dean, would it be safe to say that any punches or kicks either man throws would not have that same type of velocity they would have had in the earlier rounds? So even though both men are tired, I would say it's going to be hard for one man to finish the fight, either man to finish the fight, since they don't have the same type of muster behind their strikes as they had earlier.
They don't have the same type of muster or strength to throw the shot, but at the same time, they don't have the same strength to endure the shot. So if one guy does say, you know what, I'm going to throw the hardest punch I can and hits him, the other guy's legs ain't going to be there either to take it. So you never know what can happen.
1 minute, 40 seconds left to go here in our 5th and final round. War Memorial Auditorium here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fight Time 4, Heavyweight Explosion. Fight Time 4 brought to you by Patriot National Insurance Group. Strength, excellence, tenacity in the workers' comp arena. Double underhooks for Jeff Monson. Controlling that body. Kryptonite, though, falls on top of Jeff. What happened there? Do you think maybe Monson's leg might have given out? I saw him limping a little bit before that takedown. Kryptonite Lopez now with the dominant position on the ground for the first time.
I'm not sure what happened. Monson just kind of fell down. I don't know if his leg gave out or if he's hurt. He just kind of fell down to the ground and ended up in his half guard. But I think even here, Monson's okay. He's got such a good sweep from this position, and he's used it a lot in fights. Again, I think he's going to use it again. He's going to turn this perhaps into a double leg and finish the takedown.
We had Dean Thomas looking into the crystal ball exactly the way you described it now. Monson working towards a single leg. Final 37 seconds of our title fight. Tony Kryptonite Lopez on the offensive, controlling Jeff's posture at this time. He's got to realize he needs a finish here to win this fight. If he wants the ISKA belt, the Fight Time belt, he has to put away Jeff. Final 20 seconds. Tony Lopez dropping in the elbows. Jeff Monson surviving, still working for that takedown.
The reason why he can't finish the takedown is Tony Lopez is holding on to his foot, his right foot, which is keeping Jeff Monson from standing up.
We will go to the judges' scorecards for the ISKA Fight Time Promotions heavyweight title. Jeff the Snowman Monson and Tony Kryptonite Lopez go the distance.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 rounds of MMA action, we go to the judges' scorecards. Make some noise for both these fighters tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Judge G. Waring and Hector Gomez see the fight 49-46. Judge Rich Green sees it 48-47. Your winner and new ISKA Fight Time Promotions MMA Heavyweight Champion of the World, Jeff the Snowman Monson.
As the incredible phenomenon of Fight Time Promotions continues to spread, we look forward to seeing you at our many upcoming shows. Go to FightTimePromotions.com now to sponsor or attend our elite MMA shows. I'm Alex Dono.
And I'm Dean Thomas.
Signing off from the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.